Hi. I am at the most ancient gate that is made with arches in the world. It's dated for 4,000 years ago. It's in the city of Ashkelon at the very south of Israel, very close to the Gaza Strip. So this is the Canaanite gate, and it's a 15-meter path through the first arch to the second one at the end. So it's a path. It's not just one gate. It's actually a portal, a whole portal. You go through. And for me, it reminds me, metaphorically, of all other portals. Religion, religious rituals, drugs, sex, dance. So many things we do as humans to try to get into a portal to a different dimension, to different levels of consciousness. We sometimes are tired from our own beta waves consciousness, and we are really doing a lot and paying a lot of money and investing a lot as humanity to create other levels of consciousness. And a good ritual is really like this gate, because it's not a one thing that you do and that's it. There is a path. You go through the gate, and there is a path through, and you walk in until you go through the whole thing, and then you're in a totally different level of consciousness. Yesterday I was kind of visiting old friends in the Jewish religious world, and it was, I have to say, beautiful and very, very frustrating for me. Talking about God, talking about great ideas, talking about things is very different than other experiences. So in Kabbalah, actually, and in other mysticisms, we have the three ways of relating to the divine. Talking about the divine as a third person, talking to the divine, like in prayer, talking to God, and evoking the presence of God, and especially if it's not just talking, but actually feeling that you are in the presence of the divine. So this is the you. The first one is the he or it, and the second one is the you, or as Martin Buber called it, the thou, I-thou relationship, which is already vibrating. There is a vibration when I'm in the feeling of the presence of the divine. There is a different vibration. And then there is another aspect, which is the I, the I and I. The I recognition of the divine when a person is transformed and the personality kind of disappears, and there is a recognition of actually God is not out there. I don't know where I am in, but the one who's present here is divine. And you can find those kind of testimonials from shamanic religions or rituals, as well as from mystic and Christian, Jewish and Sufi mysticisms. Those moments, sometimes it's really momentarily, sometimes it's for days, weeks or more, when the person is like, I am in a different there is God here. God is looking through these eyes of mine. God is experiencing reality through me. God is dancing here. And a good lovemaking, I think, is one of those ways that we sometimes can go through those portals and go into a recognition of it's not really about only me and you as personas. It's actually we are embodying their archetypes, whether it's the masculine, the feminine archetypes, or different deities archetypes, or just the archetype of Eros itself, love itself, that is, so ancient. Eros itself that is so fucking ancient. Since two microorganisms started to be attracted to each other and wanted to exchange some chromosomes, Eros is playing its game through us. We might think that we are so important, but actually no, we are a chain in the endless chain of hundreds of millions of years of life, which is erotic. So it's just like falling through the personality into this kind of like divine being. The Greek that also had her Ashkelon was Greek in the Greek period and the Hellenistic period. For them, Eros was a god. When you became horny, it wasn't a profane thing. It wasn't like, oh, how come you were horny in church or in synagogue? No, it's like you are embodying the god. You are embodying the deity of Eros. Here in Ashkelon, it's one of the latest places where there was a temple for the goddess of love. It was a tradition that stayed here in these lands for thousands and thousands of years. In the beginning, she was Ashteret or Astarte in English, and then in the Hellenistic period, she was identified with Aphrodite, but she was the same, the goddess of love and lovemaking and beauty and fertility. And it is known that there was the worship of love here in Ashkelon. Some people didn't like it. Some people acted brutally against those priestesses who served here. Those priestesses who served to take people through the gates, and they gave their gates, their portals, to allow people to go into ecstasy, to allow people to use the portal of sexuality to go into the divine, to melt, to allow our mundane consciousness to strip off and feel the divine vibrating in us. I can also imagine that not only Eros and sexuality was involved, but also what we would call today plant medicine, which was, of course, whenever they used whatever they could. And cannabis is local here, as well as Syrian rue, which you can make a brew out of it that is very similar to one of the ingredients of ayahuasca, and there are other, and mushrooms, of course, magic mushrooms. So there were medicines here. Actually, in the Greek period, we know that they had hundreds and hundreds of medicine in use, used with wine. Dionysus was not only the god of wine, but Dionysus was the god of ecstasy, and wine was the carrier of all kind of magic potions that would make you go through the portal to another level of consciousness. So that's why I'm fascinated by those ancient sites, and I'm fascinated by the potential that lies in sexuality when we take it away from the stupidity of, both pornography or high school education about sexuality, but we actually take it to the shamanic realms of sexuality. And I'm interested very much in the combination of all those with plant medicine and ancient medicine. No, not only plants, but the medicines that nature, with its gracious grace gave humanity all those remedies that can do us the favor and take us through the portals. It's about time to go through the portals.